Yay!
Hello, everyone. Okay,
Hey, guys.
so we want to introduce you to Miriam Castilla, but before she talks about what she does, we're going to tell you how we met her and a little bit about why we love her, because we love you. Okay, so where did we meet Miriam?
Well, I met Miriam through SAS initially, where you spoke at the conference, and we'd been in contact before that, and I think I had your book, or I ended up getting the book there. You're like, oh, just wait until next week before you get the book.
And I think I've told you this before, Miriam. When I first met you, when Kirsty organised for us to go for coffee that day.
Oh, yes, that's right.
I was actually really nervous.
That's so funny.
We know each other so well now that it is actually ridiculous and funny. But I thought, Miriam Castilla, she's such a successful businesswoman. She's so scary. We make stories up in our head, don't we? And
yes, we do.
So far from the truth, because you're the most approachable, down to earth, amazing, successful business person.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell everyone about what you do? Because we're kind of itching to know what you've got going on at the moment.
Okay, so I'm very excited because I finally know what I want to be when I grow up. Yeah! And so I made up a word for it. I'm an effectologist, right? And this effectology method that I teach, it's to help women in business create the life that they've been dreaming of. And what I do is I help them tap into the power of their unconscious mind and leverage the entire universe, but marrying it with practical strategies so that they can actually have more money, more time, more joy, and do it the easy way. And so it's really about this marrying the practical with the magical and, getting really hands-on with it. And there was no word for that. So effectology, it is.
Beautiful. Perfect. Well, that probably leads us nicely into, why don't you explain to everybody why you started out in business? So how did it all begin? Why did you move from being an employee to, self-employed?
Okay, so I'm a little bit older than especially Courts, and I actually moved away from, I have not been an employee of anyone's since 1996.
I won't tell you what year I was.
Yeah, I was going to say, what year should
when you were in, I don't know, reception or something. And initially it wasn't like, oh, I want to start my own business. I really know what I want to do. Like I said, I've only just started working it out in the last year or so. But what it was just this, I call it like the call of your soul. You just know that if you stay there for too long, you're going to end up on antidepressants and a really stressed out bitch. And I didn't do the antidepressants, but I was doing pretty well on the other part. And it was just like, I can't do this. I don't know what it is, but it's not this. And I had this really amazing engineering career, that looked great on paper, and I was a corporate analyst, and I reported directly to the board of directors of a big petroleum company, and it all, sounded really impressive, but I hated it, and I was miserable, and I hated going to work. And actually 2 years after I quit that job, I still couldn't bring myself to drive down the street. So, I probably had some sort of post-traumatic stress, but, hey, life goes on. And but it took years to kind of actually go from there to, what do I want my business to be? So I dabbled, I helped my ex-husband, and after we split up, I started a business in finance, which I still own, but my new husband runs it. And because I do this, and I started that business because I wanted the lifestyle, right? So it wasn't so much about, it was more about what kind of life do I want to lead and what kind of business will give me that life. Whereas my business now, with the effectology method, this business is about, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to put out in the world. This is how I want to show up and serve. Finance was great. I got to help people, but a lot of it didn't really turn me on. Whereas this business, I live and breathe for. So did that answer the question? I can't quite remember what the question was.
I love this answer, because Kirsty and I were literally talking about this yesterday, where we were discussing really why are we in business? And it came down to basically wanting to replicate for other people what we just want for ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
and yours is a great example of that as well, because what you ultimately decided you wanted, you kind of discovered a way to do it. And you're thinking, well, I need to share this with other people, because if they know this, then they can have it too. And we're right. There's many of us that's what we want.
So tell us, obviously there's everyone's got different reasons for going into business, right? So we've just heard yours. Everyone's definition of what success really is once they're in business is also very different. So for you, what is a successful day, or what is a successful life?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And Kirsty mentioned my book, and, you know, I think second chapter or something, I actually ask people that question, you know, what is your definition of success? Because if you don't know, you end up just floundering about, and it's really important to anchor that stuff down early. So my definition of success, and it's written across the back of my book, is loving all I do and doing all I love, which, you know, I like putting things into just a succinct little phrase that actually has deep meaning. And I encourage people to kind of come up with their own version. And what it means to me is that, you know, I get to do what I really love. So I'm the luckiest woman on earth. But everything I do, I give it all my love, because there's stuff in my day that I don't, you know, if I could have a bigger team at this point, I'd love to not have to do that bit. And, you know, there are things that you don't necessarily love doing, but they're part of the bigger picture. So you just need to put all your love into them anyway, and remember why it's part of what makes you tick and what helps you show up and serve the way you want to serve. So that's my definition of success.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And success does change for you as you go through business, doesn't it? So what you need in the beginning / what means you feel like, okay, I'm successful, and then you might set some bigger goals. Later on, it sort of changes as well. So how has success changed you through the journey?
Oh, hugely. So, you know, I mean, just forgetting about the whole working for somebody else thing, but even in business, in my own business, the finance business, it was very much about, you know, being seen to be successful and getting that feedback from other people. And, you know, we ended up with an office and staff and this huge space. And it was only sort of into last year that we turned around and went, why are we doing this? Why are we paying this massive amount of rent? Why are we paying for somebody to sit there whether we're busy or not? And we just completely changed that business because we no longer needed the kind of social status, I guess, because we got to a point where, you know, it's the inner work, which is what I'm all about. You've got to do the inner work, and then the outside falls into place. And, you know, both Martin and I had gotten to the point, like in his business, in the finance business, and in my business here, where it's like, I don't need anyone to tell me that I know what I'm doing and that I'm doing a great job and that I'm good at it. I just know. So it's completely changed. Like, you know, I'm sitting here, we're like at a little beach hut, and we've been here for a month, and I've just been working from here and doing my videos, you know, with the green screen of the backyard.
Green screen.
I know.
Who cares?
A bird fly over before, and I'm like,
that's a great
simulated. It's all simulated. Whereas, you know, before it was like, oh no, step into my office and, you know, here's my North Adelaide address, very prestigious, and all of that crap. And, you know, it was more about the money, and then it was about, oh, actually I want the time, you know, the free time as well. And now it's just about living in joy.
And it's
honestly
about marrying the two, isn't it? Because obviously we need the money, but we realise, okay, we've got the money, so now I'm putting out more money because I'm paying rent, I'm doing all these things. So I don't actually have as much of the money as I could have. And then you think, well, actually, if I can even have a bit less money and have more freedom by not doing that. So it's about the blend of the two, so that you actually feel, yeah, this makes me happy because I have more time and have enough money.
Yeah, I think all businesses have this critical turning point, like where your profit kind of quickly, it stops growing. So you grow your business, and then you get to a certain point in business where your profit just stops growing, but your income and your overheads kind of keep growing, meeting each other. And, you know, so to me, it's a matter of, do I want to choose to stop just before that point and be happy with that? Or do I really want to grow this big business? Because you've got to get through that little plateau to grow it then to the next level where you've got like a big business with a big team. But to me personally, that's way too much. It's too much stress, like too much pressure, too much, you know, too many people relying on you. And I prefer to keep life, like nowadays, my motto is just keep things really simple. How simple can I keep it?
Yes, I love that.
I really love it.
We're kind of at the point where we've just got a little mini team, and I'm kind of with you, Miriam. I like that. I like the idea of not having to wake up in the morning and have like an entire company waiting for me to make the next move. I thought of that stresses me out.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's about having enough, isn't it? Like, if you've got enough, and along with that, you've got enough time with your family, or enough to be able to go on that trip, or enough to be able, that's happiness, and you can really back and relax in that.
And look, everybody's got a different appetite. Like, some people really get off on building something as big as they possibly can, and they love it, and they love knowing that they're feeding all these other families and so on. And I get that to a degree personally, but there's a point where I go, I don't want to wake up every morning knowing that this, I have to hit a minimum of 30 grand, 50 grand profit each month just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
No. Like, for me personally, I choose nope.
Yeah.
So early on, or now,
turning point?
like today, whenever, I don't think you had very many struggles today.
Oh, I know you
I think that you just kind of rolled out of bed.
Just daily, yeah. Piece of cake.
And I do recall, gee, I better shower, I guess.
Oh my God. That was about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's right. It's a stressful morning.
I'm very much loving the beachside lifestyle, but the showers have kind of really fallen.
So tell us, early on, or, even recently, was there a struggle that you can kind of think of or share that you think that would actually sort of shed some light, I guess, behind the scenes in your business? What is real? Like, what does a real successful business person struggle with, and how might that help other people by knowing about that?
Okay, so I think the most recent time where I went, oh my God, what is going on, was maybe about a year ago, when I was, starting to figure out how I really wanted, starting to really get clear on exactly how I wanted to teach and what I wanted to teach. But I still had way too many things on the go at once. So, I was running workshops and one-on-one sessions, and I was running lots of different workshops because what I teach is fairly broad. I cover practical strategies around managing your money effectively and your time effectively, and doing the vibrational work and getting in alignment and law of attraction and getting past your blocks, because to me it all fits together. And I was offering all these bits and pieces for people to kind of tap into, and then always going, but it's part of the bigger picture. It's part of the bigger picture. And, I did get to the point where I actually had to cancel a workshop. And for me, that was like, big, I felt really like I let people down. And I cancelled a workshop just because I realized I'm exhausted. I can't do it. I'm burnt. I'm reaching burnout. And it's actually what I teach people not to do. So there you go. And it just comes from that getting stuck in your head thing and thinking, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do that. So I really had to take my own medicine and just really recenter and regroup and get myself back in alignment and really feel into, and courts, you talk about this a lot, does this feel heavy or light? Like, it's a nice, easy, quick check-in, like, is this actually the right thing? And just focusing. I think that's the biggest challenge for especially women running a business. Yes, we've got to focus on our business because we've got families and all sorts of other stuff going on. But even within our business, just focusing on what really makes the difference, just focusing on the core message and the core services and products that we have to offer that are really going to make the difference, and sticking to our guns, knowing why, being really grounded in that and going, this is what I do. And, if it's not for you, I'm sorry, maybe we'll get to work together another time. Here's a free blog. And being okay with that rather than trying to please everybody where they're at, like really knowing who you serve, where they're at, and how you serve, and just sticking to it. Just sticking to it.
I love it too.
For those,
I love it too.
We all love it. So we went to a conference together a little while ago, and this was really the theme of the coaching sessions that we were experiencing as well, isn't it? When you are not necessarily a people pleaser, but it's like you're trying to please yourself. Like, I like this, I like this, I like this, but then what happens is it's kind of a diluted message. And you're chasing your tail unnecessarily. So this laser focus, it's really been working well for us as well. Just to sort of really hone in on, as you say, what do we want to be when we grow up?
Yeah.
Yeah. what is our thing? Like, you really need to ask yourself, what is my thing? What is my actual thing that I help people do? And go, okay, this is it. And, you know, it might be a bigger program or a bigger process or a bigger service. And then you just need to work out what's the natural sort of one or two things along that journey that you can help people, offer people to help them get there, because you've got to kind of grow your own customer sometimes, right? So, you know, we have the funnels and all of that, but often we tend to try and, like, the funnel just gets wider and wider and wider and wider.
Yeah.
There's a hippopotamus in my funnel.
Yeah.
There's a whole herd of them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think that, you know, if you're bringing in so many different people, then you're not really clearly speaking to enough of them. And then, you know, you can struggle to have the right people all kind of come out. And yeah, I mean, when I look at, you know, the number of people that are going into business, and we've talked, you know, we all love Gay Hendricks with the Big Leap and understanding all about your zone of genius. And I think it's a big lesson for anyone in business to understand that sometimes what you do love the most, or what you just intrinsically love to do, is the area that you can help people, but you fail to see or understand that because it comes so easily. So
yeah,
believe that it's something that somebody else could need, or you know,
doesn't everyone know this?
Yeah. So it's like,
yeah,
that's easy. That's not worth anything.
Well, we've had this conversation lots, right, Kirsty, where it's like, and because to you it feels so obvious and so simple and so easy, you kind of, we tend to devalue it and think that everybody sees it how we see it. But that's the thing. Like, the thing that to you is just like, yeah, doesn't everybody know this? That's your thing.
Yeah. And that's what's fun to do, and it comes easy. And, like, you know, yes, like you said, there's some things in business that we don't like to do and they're not fun or whatever. And there is a point at which you have to do some of those things until you, like, we're outsourcing a bit more now. I know you've outsourced a lot of different things along the way while still doing some of the bits you don't want. But you want to try and be living more in the area that you love. And it is okay to have a business that feels easy.
Yes, it's okay to make money easily and effortlessly. Yeah. I had my last year, when was it, September, I was in Bali, and I had my biggest week in business ever while I had my feet dangling in the pool. And I was like, this is good. And then I had my next biggest week in business ever a couple of weeks ago while we were here. And, you know, we're walking on the beach every day. We're just, you know, kind of having not a holiday, but just some time out, and just chilling beachside. And I'm not kind of fully organised in my office.
Like, not feeling like, oh, I better clean that and tidy that and all that bloody the shutter's broken, I better fix that. You know, because that's the things we do when we're around the house.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there's a couple of things, like, we tend to, it can actually be that easy, because if you know how to get in alignment, like energetic alignment, which is what I teach, then you actually open up to the flow. You get out of your own way. And the key, though, is not have those underlying limiting beliefs and upper limits around, you know, I don't deserve to make money if it's easy, or while I'm on holidays, or while I'm not really working, or while I'm not, you know, slogging away. Like, those things have got to go, because that's the stuff that's going to really keep you stuck.
Yeah.
So, was there anything that kind of kept you stuck for a while that, I guess, like, we're talking pivotal moments, something that happened for you that literally just changed the trajectory of your life in your business? So it could have been recently, it could have been quite a while ago.
I had one really big moment, which I call my supermarket moment, and that was a long time ago now, but it was after I'd left my career a few years earlier, I'd left my marriage, and I was kind of flat broke, single mum of 2 kids, and I was on government benefits, and I was just a bit of a mess. And I spent about 1.5 years like that, you know, going through family court, feeling like I'd left and abandoned my career. I didn't even want to go back to it. I didn't want to put my kids in childcare. I was just an emotional mess. And money was like a huge, fearful thing. And I was in the supermarket, and I used to add up, like, all the items as I was putting them in my trolley, because I had no money. And when I got to the checkout, somehow I'd made a mistake, and the bill was $10 more than I expected. And I burst into tears, which was really embarrassing, and it's not my style. But I just burst into tears, and I had to, like, give things back to get back down. And and sort of left in a hurry, sat in the car, did the whole angry smashing the steering wheel thing and swearing a bit, like got really angry, and then sat there for a bit longer and went, shit. It dawned on me that I actually had that $10, like I had the money, but I was so afraid of not having it the next day or the next week if I spent it in that moment. And it was that moment where I realized it's all in my head. Like my whole world is just, it's all in my head. And I'd already sort of dabbled with, I'd watched The Secret on instant auto replay over and over again and all of that stuff. But it was that moment where I really went, ooh, yeah, I've got to work on this. Like,
that's why I love that you mentioned that, because The Secret, one of the biggest things that people talk about that, liked it but didn't like it was because it doesn't give any of the practical means to actually implement anything. And it's exactly what you do is working on those same, law of attraction principles, but really marrying the magical with the practical so that people know what to physically do to actually start to attract the life that they want.
Yeah, and it is all about the simple everyday habits. Like this stuff is actually super simple and easy, and that's what actually gets makes people come undone. Like they don't stick with it because they go, oh, well, that's too simple and easy, and they don't do it consistently enough to actually build a new habit, to build new thought patterns, new ways of being, new ways of approaching their life. They don't stick with it long enough, and they get distracted. They go, oh, I must have to try this other course or this other thing, and they don't stick with those really simple basic things. And The Secret was great when it came out because it sort of snapped so many people out of it, but what it was just an invitation to learn more. And the people who bag it just go, well, I've been thinking about a blue bicycle and it hasn't come yet. They just don't get it. Like it was an invitation. It's like, reading the front cover of a book and going, oh, but I didn't get it.
Yeah. That's exactly.
You've got to go a little deeper.
It woke the world up to what was talked about by Napoleon Hill and all of these amazing philosophers, like years and years and years prior, and now it suddenly brought it into mainstream to have them really start to be open.
And people start to get that. And I think, you asked me about sort of pivotal moments and whatnot. I also got to a stage where I realized because I had, the engineering and the corporate career background and then the finance business, it was all very mainstream and very, what do you do? And you can just go, this is what I do. Whereas now it's, I'm an effectologist. And that was a bit of a mental struggle for me of like, I want to be taken seriously. And, I do have a sciencey engineering background and I am a very analytical, practical person, but I'm also really aware that there's so much of our world that we can't even see yet, let alone understand. And just getting to a point where I really was happy to step into my power and be really comfortable with, this is actually what I teach. Because to be honest, I used to have this little approach where I'd do my promo and people would come to a workshop and I'd talk, and I'd promo sort of with veiled messages in a way, right? Where I didn't really let on just how, that we're going to be saying the universe and law of attraction. And then once they were in, it was like, all right, guys, this is what we really do here. And then they loved it, right? They loved it.
But and it was that feedback to then go, okay, I can be grown up in this space.
But publicly, like really being out there with your message and what you believe and standing behind it, like that is actually a big personal growth curve. So everybody, no matter what your business is, there's something you stand for, whether you're an aromatherapist or you're a massage therapist, there's things you believe that are a little bit different to even the rest of your community, like in your industry. And, stand up and talk about it and don't be afraid. Like, don't like get out of the bushes.
Yeah.
In this day and age, especially with online businesses, I think it comes down to fear for a lot of people, doesn't it? Like they don't want to be trolled or and the chances of that happening are actually so little, I think, compared to what people believe is going to happen. Like even now, I can sometimes second guess myself. I don't hang out really on our Facebook business page as much as I hang out in our free Facebook group because that is the place that we create.
Safe.
Whereas we started our business publicly and people loved it. So it's kind of like, why don't you keep doing that? That was working. So I guess
a turning point for us we started into a Facebook and then we grew up and got more and more confident in this space. And then, at the conference we're at, we realized we've got to go back to being more public
Yeah.
now that we're big girls.
Yeah.
and share that into the community, but let more people discover who we are and what we're about.
And I guess it's scary, isn't it, to kind of, number one, say your message publicly. But I think for a lot of people who are still trying to refine their message, it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Like, how often do we see in the community, I'm not gonna do my opt-in page, or I'm not gonna do my video, or I'm not gonna do this because I haven't got my message sorted out yet. But what they need to realize is that you're actually going to attract the right people to you along the way. And as you refine it, people will actually, your community is around you and they will enjoy seeing you grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you go.
No, you finish.
I was gonna say, is when you've got like this crappy thought pattern, you actually become a bit of a crap magnet, don't you? Like when you're thinking about the way that the law of attraction works, if you've got negative thoughts about what you're actually putting out there, it almost reinforces. It's like, well, we'll give you some more of that. We'll give you some real evidence to prove that you should be.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So there's so much gold in what you were just saying. I'm like trying to make mental notes that I can remember. And there's so much gold. And look, with the message, I think people get stuck in their heads and try to, refine it on that level, and they forget to tap into their hearts. So when you're sitting down with your friends and you're having a rant about, how you really feel, that's your message.
Yeah.
That's your message. And then you've got to be brave enough to stand up and do that publicly, because you know what your message is, you know what you believe. It's just that people get caught in their heads and trying to make it into this, lovely sounding marketing pitch, and they get so stuck up in here and, worrying about does everybody else think. It actually doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It matters what you think, because if you don't truly believe it, you're not going to resonate it. And like you say, you're not going to attract those people anyway. And that whole, we don't want to put it out there publicly, that's that fear of judgment. And what I find though, and well, particularly for me, but also with my students, is that we don't really fear being judged by strangers. We don't give a shit about strangers, right? Trolls, all right, it's not pleasant. But what we really fear, is our own judgment. So it's actually an invitation for healing. This is the inner work that we have to do. And I found, for me personally, my avatar of who I feared being judged by was my younger brother, because he's an engineer. And he just thinks it's hilarious that I teach what I teach. He kind of, we didn't even talk about it for years. It was just this unspoken thing. And I knew he disapproved. And literally every post for quite a while that I would put up, every time I'd put anything on my public page, I'd think, oh, what if he sees it? And it was that, and so that's my own having to process my own fear of judgment, and the part of me that still believes that, this is not respectable, or not, that's not even the word. What's the right word? It's not, mainstream enough, or it's not recognized, or there's not enough empirical data, and all this sort of, and it's actually my own stuff. That the outside of us is just what happens on the outside is just a reflection of what's going on within us. And the more we embrace that and go, okay, someone was really in my face and really challenging me on whether I'm actually qualified to teach this. Which part of me is sort of still fearful that maybe I'm not qualified enough yet, that maybe I need to do another course, get another certificate, whatever the hell it is. And so it's just a reflection. And so when this crap happens, when you start to learn to take it as an invitation to go within and do some healing, then you go, good, thank you for showing me where I can grow. Thank you for showing me where I can grow. And it becomes like a springboard that you catapult yourself off into the next sort of level. Yeah.
I can actually vouch for the fact that Miriam has helped me really personally understand exactly this, guys. So here's like an actual testimonial. I am a real person that has actually worked with Miriam. And I remember about one of the sessions that I've had with you was me bitching and moaning about something. Like, oh, my husband says this and I don't like it and blah, blah. But the best piece of gold that you have ever said to me, and there's a few, but one of them that I repeat to anyone who's having a life crisis, I will repeat this. When you are triggered by something that someone else is doing to you, it means that you have a wound to heal. Because if I walked up to you and poked you in the arm and there wasn't an open wound there, you wouldn't even notice, and you'd kind of just be like, why are you poking me in the arm? Yeah. Versus if you've got an open wound on your arm and someone pokes you, you're going to get angry, you're going to get upset, you're going to get distracted, hurt, whatever. But the point is, until that wound heals, you're still you're the one feeling like that. Yeah. So what can you do to fix it?
Exactly. So the way that to sum that up, which I really like, is if you didn't have a problem with it, you wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yes. That's exactly right. The problem is the problem.
Exactly. And there's like
100% personal responsibility.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You know, the thing that I really liked about working with you as well, Miriam, was the fact that you will often ask permission. Like, are you ready to hear something that might cut a little bit deep? And I always said yes, and I never regretted it. And that was one of the things that you actually said to me. Like, it's all about personal responsibility here, guys. Yep. So actually look at your own life to make it better. So I'm really excited about the fact that I feel like I am part of your legacy.
You are. You're my reason for existing.
Thanks. But can you tell everyone, you know, like if you think forward 30 years or 40 years and, you know, you're looking back on your life, what do you actually want to be known for? Like, we've obviously talked about it a little bit, but is there something that you just really deep in your gut know that you will be known for?
I do think about this quite a bit because it's important to me. And really the main message that I have particularly for women, because we tend to get ourselves caught up in all sorts of other things, is that we are the creators of our lives. You know, there are infinite possibilities and we are the creators of our lives. We have that power. And if I can just be known for helping spread that message and really helping people get that, like really get it, not just, oh, yeah, I know we're the creators of our lives. There's quantum physics, there's, you know, neuroscience, blah, blah, blah. But like really get it, like really experience it and feel it and go, wow, I did that. Good, bad, indifferent. I created that. Like if I can be remembered as somebody who helped a whole lot of women get that, I'd be chuffed. I'll be jigging all over my grave or wherever they sprinkle my ashes.
You'll be swimming.
Exactly.
Awesome. So Miriam has an awesome quiz that we have on the page, but she will also email that out to you so that you'll be able to run through that and have a bit of a look. And do you want to describe the quiz a little bit? What will that help them to discover about themselves?
So the main thing the quiz helps you discover is what's your power word for really moving to the next level, because, you know, there is a system that I have put together that helps people move from wherever they are to wherever they want to go next, that they can apply over and over again. But everybody kind of has a different pain point that they start with. Yep. And this quiz helps you work out what that is. So, you know, once you get that initial pain point sorted, then you can go, okay, now I can actually put my whole life together. So that's what the quiz helps you work out, like what's your power word? It gives you some really specific questions to ask yourself to really get unstuck and get moving, and it gives you the perfect resource to help you actually take that next step. So tailor to where you're at. So, and it's fun. It's quick.
And I haven't done this quiz. I want to know my part. No. You're going to do it today.
Awesome.
Yep. Jump on, do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone for joining us. If you're listening, we hope you enjoyed your car ride or your walk or whatever you were doing.
Yes. We'll put the links in to be able to find Miriam online as well, but you will definitely be hearing from her. So look out in your inbox.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. See ya, everybody. Bye.